You're listening to Heroic Reflections, honoring the stories behind the service, hosted by Liam Steele. On this episode, Corporal Jon Burt, United States Marine Corps.
So how did you get started with your military career after you enlisted?
I enlisted 2 weeks after I graduated high school from North Reading.
Okay.
Actually, I enlisted my senior year of high school.
Which service did you join?
Marine Corps.
What was boot camp like?
Boot camp, it was an eye-opening experience. Marine Corps boot camp, so it's not easy. But it was a lot of fun, you know. It was about to be over, but one of those things that I remember every day, and it was a great experience.
What was like the daily routine like?
Getting yelled at 24/7, doing whatever they tell you to do as quickly as you can do it.
Did you guys pull any pranks, or were there any humorous moments on each other?
No, there's nothing funny about it. It was pretty serious all the time.
Where'd you go to boot camp? Paris Island?
Paris Island.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where I'm John.
Yeah. There's 2 Marine Corps boot camps. There's one in Paris Island. There's one out in San Diego.
Okay.
Those are the only 2 places.
Okay. The Miramar or Camp Pendleton?
It's part of Pendleton, but it's actually, believe it or not, it's right beside the airport. So if you actually land the planes and you look to the right, you'll see a bunch of milk. That's the Marine Corps boot camp.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's a Point Loma?
It's right there.
Next to it. Okay.
Yeah.
We lived in San Diego for a year, so we were near Miramar. Yeah.
By Coronado.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of training on Coronado. That's a beautiful place up there. But usually it's the main boot camp is there, but all the ranges in Pendleton.
Okay.
So they're together.
Okay. Were you ever deployed?
Yes.
And where?
I was deployed over to Desert Shields from actually the reserve unit from Boston, or Massachusetts, and we went over there, and I was deployed over in Iraq and Kuwait for 8 months.
Were there any important missions you went on, or operations?
Yeah, there was some pretty significant ones. I mean, it was all combat, so every mission's kind of important, you know. So not one's any greater than more important than the other, but it was there was a lot of different missions. Yeah.
What kind of were you a corpsman, or what was your?
Just in the Marine Corps, I was a rifleman.
Okay.
My main thing was motor T. I was a mechanic,
Okay.
but I was forward base mechanic. But everyone in the Marine Corps is a rifleman.
Okay.
So it's everyone does the same thing.
You called it and do whatever. Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Whatever you do.
Okay. Oh, what was the food like?
The food? Definitely not as good as it is nowadays. You know, they have the MREs, and the MREs back then were really new. They used to have rations, which were in cans, but the MREs came out. Wasn't too bad. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah. When you were going through training and then coming through the military, what lessons did you learn that you've been able to apply to your life?
I mean, honestly, working as a team. We got out of Marine Corps boot camp, you go from Marine Corps boot camp, and then you do an additional month at Camp Geiger, out of Camp Lejeune. That's infantry training. So you go from there, you go to infantry training, and then after there, you go to your MOS training.
Okay.
So my MOS was also on Camp Lejeune, which was motor transport, but I was a platoon commander per se for my training. So just being in a leadership role, taking care of 50 other Marines for 16 weeks.
Wow.
And don't forget, these are people you don't know. They come from every walks of life, different backgrounds, different whatevers. And it was challenging, but it was also very satisfying because you see different people.
Yeah, they come together.
They all come together. Everyone does the same thing, but you don't have San Diego, Mexico, that you name it, it is. So it's working as a team with totally different people with the same goal.
Yeah. So having all those different types of people and having to lead them, what was the challenging? You mentioned challenges. What were some of those challenges?
Just everyday individual challenges. You name it. There's issues with this, that. It doesn't matter. People have bad days, right?
Yeah.
Bad days. But at the end of the day, there's still stuff that has to be done. So your bad day can get over quick and just continue on with what you're supposed to do.
How do you help them, encourage them?
I mean, just try to support them the best they can. But at the end of the day, you get a job to do. So just do it.
Yeah. Get your act together. And
right. You know, I mean, everybody has a bad day.
Yeah. What rank were you?
But when I got out of the Marine Corps, I was a corporal, becoming into a sergeant. But I got out just before I got sergeant.
Yeah. How many years did you serve?
6 years.
Okay.
Was there a special thing that like forced you to leave, or was your service just like
My contract obligations is up after 6 years. I will say the worst thing I ever did was get out of the Marine Corps. At the time, you don't realize it, but I should have stayed in.
Yeah. Why is that?
Just some things you miss. You know, you get used to the military life, and becoming a civilian is it's definitely different structure than the military.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to adapt to it, but I got on the fire department. I was in the Marine Corps. I got on the fire department here, and was just transitioning from one career to another.
Whole new lifestyle and like just change, a lot of change.
Well, you know, when you first start off the military, you don't really have a career, you have a job, right?
Yeah.
And a job is just a job until you get the next job.
Yeah.
Right.
But when you finally get to a point where you have a career, it's just a different outlook. And when I got this job as a career, I kind of had to focus on something else.
Yeah. What did you wish that you knew about going into the military, like before, if you had to go back in time and talk to yourself before you went in, what would you maybe tell yourself or help get yourself ready for the experience?
I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
The recruiters you deal with and you talk to them, they were pretty upfront about it.
Yeah.
They told us what movie to watch. I think that's Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, yeah.
Watch that movie.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that's boot camp.
That was it. Yeah.
That was boot camp. And they weren't kidding.
Yeah.
So I pretty much had an idea what it was. There was no surprises.
Yeah. Okay.
You know?
Okay.
It was exactly what I expected.
Yeah, it's pretty lifelike from what other folks have said too. He hasn't watched that yet.
You haven't watched that?
Yeah.
I'm sure. I don't think it's the same way it is now. Now things have changed a little bit.
Yeah.
But when I went in, you watched that whole beginning of that movie. That was Marine Corps boot camp.
Yeah, the first half of the movie is
all
intense. Yeah.
That makes me laugh looking at, and some of those bases that they were down at Camp Lejeune, some of those barracks that ones up being ranked, it was still an old.
Oh yeah.
Paris Island or something.
Okay.
So it was pretty interesting.
What advice would you give to someone that wants to join?
It's a great experience. You see a lot of things that the average person doesn't. In my opinion, I think every kid should go in the military. I'm not saying the Marine Corps. I think they should do a year.
Yeah.
They should see how good they have things, because you travel this world and you see how bad it is. Maybe things will change over here and kids will realize how good they have it.
Yeah.
Because it really is an eye-opening when you go someplace, a third world country, and see what they don't have.
Yeah.
And you come home, it's like, oh Jesus, look at this.
Yeah.
They don't have that stuff. They live in clay houses. That's no joke.
Yeah.
You know, so I think every kid should do it. It's a great learning experience. Makes you grow up real quick.
Give you structure and
absolutely
purpose.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not saying the Marine Corps. Marine Corps, in my opinion, because I was one, is the hottest branches.
Yeah.
But any branch in the military, I think, would be good for anybody.
Yeah.
You know. Did you use the GI Bill after college?
I did.
Yeah.
So the GI Bill back then, well, when I got out of the Desert Storm, the state of Massachusetts actually said any veteran who came back from the Gulf, they gave a $500 school money. So it was over and above the GI Bill.
Yeah.
And I used that to go to EMT school. So I had to be an EMT for the fire department. So when I was still in the Marine Corps, I went to Bunker Hill. They basically paid for it.
Yeah.
And then that's what I used it for. I wish I used the GI Bill for higher education, which I did not.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to go to college.
Yeah.
I mean, college isn't cheap. It is not cheap. So going into a field where the military basically pay for your education, I think you're crazy not to.
Yeah.
You know, they pay for a lot of it.
It's a good return on the investment.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially like the medical field and stuff.
Yeah.
They pay for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. And so my brother-in-law went in the Navy and I helped pay for his medical school. He went in as an engineer, but then went to med school after.
Yeah. And I know some doctors that were doctors. Then they went into the Army later in their life, and they do so many years, and they pay for their education.
Okay.
So I mean, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that education's huge money.
Did you? So when you came back from Iraq or Kuwait, did you? Where were you stationed in the U.S.?
So I was the first time 25th Marines, which is New England.
Okay.
Headquarters was actually in Worcester. I was down at Camp Edwards, which was down the Cape.
Oh yeah. Okay.
We left out of there, went down to Camp Lejeune. hung out at Camp Lejeune for a couple of weeks, and we were on a plane. We landed in Saudi, running the Kuwaiti board.
Okay.
And then when we came back to Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
Kind of like deactivation down there.
Yeah.
And then we bust ourselves back up to Camp Edwards.
Okay.
So it was just from here to there. It's not a straight shot. You got to go someplace and get all the shots and get all your medical stuff, all that type of stuff.
Get back in it. Yeah. And then were you stayed at Camp Edwards through the rest of your service, or did you?
No, I was in the reserve, so I came back before.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then since then, I mean, that unit's been activated about 6 times. They've
Okay.
like three tours in Iraq. They've been a pretty busy unit since I got out.
How long is like a term for someone who signed up with the military?
How long of it? I believe it all depends what you want to do. There's different things, and things may have changed in a long time since I've been in there, but it's at least a 3-year commitment. But everyone's in the computer for 8. So if you join for 3 years, I joined for 6. I had to do 6 to get the GI Bill. I think it may be 4 for the GI. So there's different requirements. But no matter what you joined, you're in the computer for 8 years. So that means if you do 4 years, you're out of the Army or out of the military, but you're not. It's called IRR, Inactive Ready Reserve. You're in there for an additional 4 years. So that means that any time there's a conflict and they need to bring it back, they can recall you for an additional 4. So that your contract is 8 years.
Yeah.
Your active service is 3, 4, whatever your MOS or whatever you agree to.
Yeah.
Because of what you want. You want to be an officer, I think it's at least a 4-year enlistment. It may have to be a 6 because you have to do schooling. Well, so there's a lot to it. The recruiter much better off than I am to tell you, but I do know you're in the computer for 8 years.
Okay. That's what Henry was saying about. Yeah.
Because I know some people got recalled for Desert Storm. He was home for like 2 years and he met up with us. Like, I haven't been in boots in 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Like
so
starting over.
he took a little while to get back into shape.
Yeah.
But it happens. It happens.
So one of the things Liam's going to do is put together like a book to kind of capture all the conversations he's had, and probably do some presentations in town as well.
Make like a video with some clips from the interviews that are present at some places.
Yeah.
Good deal, man.
So if you have any like pictures of memorabilia and stuff that you want to share at some point to include in there, you can send them over to him. You can do it. You don't have to do it today too, but whatever makes sense for you.
Let me see what. Definitely may have something.
Cool.
I got some more pictures. I think I probably sent you. I went over, there's like 3 guys from North Reading that went with me. Those are 3 from North Reading.
Oh, wow.
And this is the stuff that's being up by the old. That's a storm.
Okay. We talked to Tony Spina.
Tony Spina,
Yeah.
Those are the oil wells. That was the first time 25th Marines.
Oh, wow. So, the Iraqis lit all the oil wells on fire.
They were, yeah. So I got some pictures I can send you.
Okay. That'd be great. Anything you want people to kind of know about you, your service, your experience, that like you haven't brought up at all, like something that we want to make sure we have documented for you, or any message you want to propose?
No, I just think it's an honorable thing to be in the military, period, no matter what branch you're in.
Yeah.
Your ability to serve. You go for Eagle Scout, that's no small job. That's a good achievement. It takes a lot to get there.
Yeah.
And that Eagle Scout goes a long way with you. Later on, you go for an interview and like you're an Eagle Scout, holy crap, the kid really put a lot of effort into it, so it goes a long way. And about you, so congratulations on doing it.
Yeah.
Being in the military to me is the best thing I ever did.
Yeah. It's a common theme we've heard from other folks who don't see it.
I talk to these people today all the time. And we get together once in a while. These guys I was in combat with. It's a different type of brotherhood. You may have friends now, but you're in combat with somebody, you have no idea what a friend is. It's a totally different animal.
You're looking out for each other
all the time.
Yeah,
it's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I'll never forget, and I'll never regret either.
Yeah.
Some people, military life isn't for everybody, but if you go with a good attitude, you can get a lot out of it.
Thank you for listening to this edition of Heroic Reflections. Honoring the Stories Behind the Service, hosted by Liam Steele.
This podcast is part of the NORCAS Podcast Network. Check out more podcasts at podomatic.com/NORCAM.